My name is Max.
And my name is Jens.
Today we'll give a lecture on how to write different text types in English. The types that will be described are review, essay, and lastly the report. Spoken and written English is preferably divided into two main groups. And as the respectable English speaker you are, Jens, I am sure you're aware of what two groups I'm speaking.
Of course, it is formal and informal English.
That is absolutely correct, Jens. I'm proud of you. Roughly, you can describe formal English as the one used in official documents, newspapers, articles, business letters, and etc. Here today, Jens and I strive to be as formal as possible, both in our language usage and in our approach. On the other hand, informal English is the type of English used in a daily life conversation. For instance, if one would meet up with some friends for a cup of coffee, he or she would undoubtedly use the informal English.
How can you be sure of that, Max?
I am sure, because if that person would be me, I would not say when ordering, "Hello there, I would like to purchase a cup of coffee," as the formal way of saying it would be. Conversely, I would say it the informal way as follows. "Can I have a cup of coffee, please?"
So, according to the examples you have described, Max, the formality does not only depend upon the words used. Is that correct?
Both yes and no. Undeniably, the words used do play a big part to decide formality. However, other factors do have to be taken into account.
Such as what?
For example, if shortened negatives as don't instead of do not are used or not. A formal piece of writing does quickly turn into an informal piece of writing if these short little words are used or not. Therefore, writers should as a routine proofread their works to find these little words that can easily destroy the entire text. Furthermore, the usage of personal pronouns as I, you, we, etc. should be completely absent in formal writing. And if the word I has to be used, it can often be changed into the word one without changing the meaning of the sentence significantly. Additionally, linking devices should frequently be used to connect to different sentences. Example of linking devices are additionally, however, furthermore, hence, thus, to sum up. It's a lot of them. Though do remember that a linking device that starts a sentence should always be followed by a comma.
It seems to me that the differences between formal and informal English are quite many. Are they not?
I would not say that there are differences. I would say they are a complete opposite of each other, as their names indicate. Jens, would you like to describe how a review should be written?
Yes, most certainly. After all, what better way is there to start off our introduction to formal writing than with the least formal of these types of text, the review? Reviews, the majority of people read on a frequent basis. Simple enough, they are criticism, praise, or both, of a specific film, product, or for that matter, anything consumable.
Mm-hmm.
They aim to guide readers to a better understanding of the subject they are treating, perhaps giving the reader a feeling of what it is like to eat at a specific restaurant, watch that specific film, or for that matter, whatever the experience may be with the review subject in question.
I see.
As such, reviews are of a far less formal character than, for instance, a scientific paper, emphasizing more on connecting with the reader. However, in order for a review to appear credible, it is of great importance that it still keeps a serious and professional tone throughout.
Continue.
Keeping this in mind, a review is ideally started with a short introduction to what the review is going to be treating. It is of great importance that the reader's interest is caught immediately. In this case, a very effective way of doing this is to give a tiny bit of backstory. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny. The introduction should then be led in a direction to where one can present exactly what the review is focusing on. Will the review focus on a specific tourist resort, or perhaps a handful of musicals. To give an example, a fitting introduction to a review focusing on the latter might sound something like this. Take it away, Mitch.
Thank you, sir. Over the last decades, global tourism has skyrocketed. As the most popular destinations are becoming increasingly crowded, I glance further away to a land largely untouched by the massive commercialism touring brings with it, Angola.
Continuing, the body part should paint a vivid picture of the review subject, yet staying clear of recommendations or opinions. As well as it is possible, one wants to describe not only the details of what is reviewed, but what the experience with it is. Lastly, the writer sums up the review by giving overall impressions and opinions, perhaps a few pointers or advice also. Max, would you like to briefly introduce?
It's a piece of writing which is written from the author's own personal opinions. A particular definition of the essay does not exist, and the few existing definition does quite extensively overlap with both the article and the short story. Even though lacking a clear definition, the structure of the essay is very clear. Firstly, a short and targeted introduction is written. It is important that the first sentence is aimed directly to what the essay will be about. The introduction ends with a thesis statement, which is basically the most important sentence in the entire essay. The thesis should, in a few words, express the main idea of the entire essay. Therefore, one should put in a lot of effort when writing the thesis statement. Moreover, a few extra sentences could be put in between the first sentence and the thesis statements, but it's not necessary. Here follows a good introduction in which Jens is reading out of.
There is an old saying that honesty is the best policy. But sometimes it seems we are far more inclined to bend the truth or just tell barefaced lies. In this essay, I'm going to explain why I think honesty is an important part of life.
This introduction, in which Jens read out of, has a targeted opening sentence and a clear thesis statement. However, its author chose to use the almost tabooed personal pronouns, which certainly made the introduction significantly worse. After the introduction follows the body. The body contains out a few paragraphs in which every paragraph is based upon an argument which support the thesis statement. Additionally, the author could decide to use counter-arguments. If that is the scenario, the counter-arguments should not be described as detailed as the main arguments. Also, the counter-arguments should quickly be followed by a main argument to make the counter-argument lose even more in credibility. Lastly follows the summarization. To visualize that it is an ending, it should be introduced with linking words such as in sum or to sum up. Basically, the summarization works as a review of what the essay has been about. And the last sentence in the essay should be remarkable so that the reader will remember the essay. If all these suggestions, as I have been presenting, should be used when writing an essay, the quality will turn out really, really well. Jens, would you like to describe how a report should be written?
Its name implies, a report is written as a means of reporting something to someone. Reports are often commissioned or at least targeted at a specific person or audience, and therefore, when writing reports, there is no use in trying to attract cash readers. As such, a report should keep to a very formal and very concise language. Also, make sure the text is easy to navigate. This means using headings extensively and keeping to writing about one thing at a time. Keeping this in mind, the opening paragraph should be a very distinct introduction to what is reported, clearly stating something in the lines of
"This report is centered around,"
or
The aim of this report is to...
Continuing, the body should strive to have the very same approach to grammar. One should never complicate the sentence structure, but rather keep the sentence structure simple. Everything should be clear and concise. Furthermore, if the report takes on different aspects of the subjects, these aspects should be clearly divided into paragraphs, each one explicitly focusing on one of the aspects at a time. Adding titles to these paragraphs, as already mentioned, will ensure that the report is easily navigated by the reader. In long reports, it may even be a good idea to use subheadings. The report should be ended with the conclusion the writer took from the report. This may just be observations or suggestions if the assignment is such that the writer has been commissioned to do so.
For an excellent way of lecturing the report. With that information in mind, I would truly be an expert in writing reports. According to all the lectures given, it seems to me that they all follow a similar structure. They all start targeted and concise, and they all end summarizing. However, there in between, the body paragraphs differ between the different text types. With that information in mind, a writer should always remember to write a targeted introduction and a summarizing ending. Remember that. Also, all these text types require formal English, and formal English does require formal vocabulary, which can only be obtained out of practicing English often and frequently. And remember, in formal English, you write do not instead of don't. If you ever have any questions regarding the differences between formal and informal English, or how to write a report or an essay, do not hesitate to contact me or Jens. We're always happy to help you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.
YOLO!